just like how bad his surprise pick was this week. But
Hold on. Can we let's not leave on this. Let's talk about those surprise picks last week.
hey, welcome to the Nest, the disc golf podcast where we talk about relevant topics in the disc golf world. I'm your host Mike with my co-host Dan. Dan, how's it going today?
Going great. Just finished up another solid week of college. Got an event coming up this weekend, so that's always fun.
Nice. Yeah. Obviously, last week we did the USDGC preview show. We'll get right into the results now. As everybody probably already knows, Paul Macbeth took down the men. Um, I mean, there was a really cool photo of him making basically the exact same putt, taking the exact same putt in 2014 and comparing it to now, and just the difference in the crowd and the difference in Paul. He's really filled out. He was skinny back then.
Yeah,
But no, it's just really cool to see how much it's grown. And Dan, what'd you take away from the event? I'll pull up the results, but yeah, what'd you think?
I thought it was awesome. It was one of the most enjoyable events to watch all year. Especially final round, I watched from start to finish. I enjoyed every bit of it. I think Disc Golf Network did a good job. I know we'll talk about it later. There were some gripes about live coverage and stuff like that, but the event, as for the event itself, I don't think we could have asked for more, especially the playoff, and the people charging the way they did. I thought it was just a great event, and I was cheering the whole time. So
Yeah, I thought they did a great job of documenting everything, like showing everybody who is in the hunt. And I mean, obviously there was some drop of coverage, but in general, you saw every shot you needed to see. You saw every player down the stretch you needed to see. Yeah, so Chris Dickerson, Nate Sexton, and Joel Freeman tied for fifth. Drew Gibson took fourth. Ricky took third, and then Kyle and Paul obviously had the playoff at the end, with Paul taking it down. Um, Paul, the third round, obviously that was kind of the round that won it for him. Looking back,
yeah,
it was rainy. It was terrible conditions. I think he shot 11 down, if I remember right.
as
By
closest was
far the
Evan,
best
I think.
round. And round four, he had a slow start, had some mistakes, but they always say is you just have to do what you need to do to win, and it was close, but he did what he had to do. Um, Hats off to Kyle Klein. He had a great event. He had a great final round.
He's a baller.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. You could tell he didn't know what he was gonna do as he walked up to that last putt on 18. Like he was still trying to decide if he was gonna
Yeah,
go
no,
for it or
I
lay it up. Well, what would you have done? Would you? I mean, he obviously went. He took a bit at it. You could tell he was a little hesitant, missed short. Can't blame the kid, obviously,
right.
but um, uh,
I mean, I for me watching it, it was a little bit different than being in his position, and I was watching with a buddy, and we were sitting there arguing over what he should do because my buddy was like, "Yeah, man, just run it, toss it in. You're a great putter." I was like, "Dude, I don't know if you airball, like you lose. There's just no chance. Like you're gonna go down the hill, like you're just gonna lose." And at the time, that was when Paul threw his shot on 17, and he was 60 feet away from the basket. And I feel like UDisc might have screwed him over a little bit because the UDisc kept shuffling around. At the same time, Drew was showing him the scores. So I thought there's a chance Paul thought he just had to get on the island and then
mhm.
figured out after he was 60 feet away that he has to birdie at least one of the whole 17 or 18. And being 60 feet away from the birdie putt on 17 and then going into the hardest hole on 18 with the USDGC on the line, I was like, Kyle, just put it underneath the basket. And if you were like, in my opinion, you're probably like worst case scenario, you're just gonna go into a playoff, and it might be the same fate.
But
I didn't, but then Paul decides to bang a 60-foot putt with OB right behind, and I was just like, well, heck, I don't know.
right,
But he gave it a run. So at the end of the day, you give it a run. Best case scenario, if you don't make it, that it sits right where it lands. And uh, I don't if for some reason he lost and there was no playoff, I don't think you can be upset at
hmm
that a bid or chance you gave.
yeah,
So I think it made a good choice.
yeah. Paul made a comment afterwards, kind of suggesting that. the UDIS scoring was the reason he wasn't aggressive on 17. He kind of made a comment that like he just thought he had to get on the island, and then as you found out later, that wasn't the case. He needed a birdie basically. So that was kind of wild, and I'm not really sure what happened there. There was a lot of confusion. The commentators didn't know what was going on. It was kind of a mess. Probably the low light of the coverage, just because it felt weird. It felt strange. But that's it. I mean, for Paul to make that putt, I mean, it,
Oh, it was
that's
crazy.
the most Paul thing I've ever seen, you know.
Yeah.
And we said before the tournament that he kind of seemed like he had a chip on his shoulder and was getting a little tired of the talk and everything. And it's just so awesome to see it go down the way it did. And crazier than Kyle running that last putt was Paul running his last putt on 18, in my opinion, because that
Yeah.
was
No, that was crazy too. Cause I was sitting there with my friend. I was like, dude, he just lays this up, takes the playoff. Nope, not even.
and he
I mean, he
almost
gave
made
it
it.
a
He
solid bid. An inch left, that would have airballed and went way down the hill. Like,
probably OB. I
oh,
mean,
100% in my opinion.
and
That's just
it's crazy that it land. I mean, the fact that he got some chain and it went down the hill slightly and just stopped. I mean, so easily it could have been at least a tester or even worse, like not even a chance. And that I was surprised to see him do that. But then the more I thought about it, like I'm curious. I can't believe they didn't ask him about that putt in the interview. Um, to me, it almost just seems like that's just like the mindset of someone who, at the end of the day, like yeah, he wants to win, but he didn't have fear or like care if he didn't win. Almost, you know. I I don't know.
In
Um,
my in my personal opinion, I think the thought of because that's a putt he's made before, but the thought of like that winning USDGC and like that roar on the playoff hole, there was some excitement and like well warranted, but it was like a 25 footer, which he should make. And it was a playoff, so there was, nerves and the excitement was there. But imagine if he hit a 45-foot putt on
death putt.
18, death putt on the
Yeah,
hardest hole to seal USDGC.
yeah,
Like roar, like deserve the roar, deserve the hype. And I think that might have been a thought in Paul's mind. He's just like, I just want to shut him out now. I want this to be on Sports Center, me roaring like crazy because I just hit one of the toughest putts in disc golf
yeah.
for
It
the
would have been. I
prestige of
mean,
this
it was
event.
epic, but that would have been if there was anything that could have been more incredible. It was that. But either way, great finish. I mean, are there any other players you want to shout out? I want to shout out, um, Drew Gibson. He had a great event. People were talking prior to the event that he was playing a lot like great golf, playing the best golf he's played in a long time, and that kind of seemed to be the case. I mean, he he the whole I can't remember what hole number it is, but the one where you can go for an eagle if you want to, the par four.
Yep.
Um and he didn't go for it and he went OB. So like and that was the difference really. I mean, that took the wind out of his sail, and I think had he had been going for it earlier in the tournament, and that was a situation there where it was like obviously hindsight, but laying up going OB, it was like I was just really bummed that he didn't give it a run, and that would have put him right into the mix of things. But either way, he had a great event. Um, what did you think of Ricky's final round?
It was a good final round. It was kind of him, Joel Freeman, Kyle, and Paul coming down the stretch, and it
Mm-hmm.
was those four scores. But he just I can't even remember what hole it was at this point. It might have been hole um with the triple Mando, where it's a par four, you skip through. I
Yeah,
15, I want to say.
that's 15.
Yep.
Yep,
So hole 15. I think that's kind of
when he
where
missed the Mando. Yep.
yeah, the wheels kind of fell off for him. But he fought. Truth be told, he probably should have been in a little bit better position going into that round, strokes wise and score wise. But I thought he had a good effort and he came to play, and that was evident. He just, didn't quite seal the deal, and he unfortunately hasn't done that at USDC ever.
Yeah.
This is pretty typical for Ricky USDGC, and maybe he wants it too bad. I don't know. It's hard to say, but a solid round. It just he didn't quite. Um, he could have very well been in the same position Kyle Klein was at the end of the round, and
For
he just
sure.
wasn't. So
I mean, he had the fourth best round of the day, final round. So it's not that he had a bad round. It's just a very bad timing to have a hiccup, you know. So it was kind of unfortunate to see. He took it fine. I mean, he was obviously frustrated, but he always bounces back pretty well, and he's usually a pretty good sport at the end of the day. So yeah, no. I mean, is there anybody else that you wanted to talk about at all for the men?
no, just I would like to reiterate Drew Gibson. I think he did really well, and he made a comment on Instagram that he would have won the U.S. out of bounds champion. Because I mean, he threw out of bounds like it was an absurd amount of times, like 30 times for the event. I remember going into round four, they were showing off all the highlight or all the top scores, and Drew was one of them, and he had five more OB strokes than the next closest person.
Wow.
Like it was just absurdly more, and to be that competitive while chucking like that is a testament to his like putting game now, especially. And so I think he'll fix it up at some point.
Yeah, for sure. For the women, it obviously wasn't USDGC. They had their women's disc golf throw pink championship. And the top five, there's a three-way tie for third with Valerie Manihandu, Sarah Holcomb, and Haley King. Kona took second, and winning again was Missy Gannon. What did you think of the women's event?
It was very eventful. I typically don't I don't watch a whole lot of the women just because it's early in the day. I like to get things done and then be able to watch the men. But I did tune into the final round of especially on 17 where Missy was I think one stroke ahead of Valerie. Maybe they were tied. I can't quite remember. But Missy missed the island. And then, I mean, Missy just sailed it. She
Yeah.
chopped her sidearm way out of bounds. And then Valerie stepped up and pretty much barely missed it. I don't know if she was trying to park it or what, but she like barely missed it. And then she also missed her drop zone shot to the green. So she just kind of lost on hole 17. And you could see she was crying. She was very emotional, um, which I think is a testament to how much she cares. And
Mm-hmm.
she was one of my picks to win the event. I was actually really rooting for her just because I know she hasn't had that big Testament win. I thought this would have been a good one, but a good event all in all. There was a lot of girls that came out and played well. It wasn't the typical top three women you see just dominating the event, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And but yeah, I thought it was a good event for the women, and
Yeah. Um, so Missy in the last 3 months um, has won more prize money than she did like all of last year. Her last three payouts have been the biggest all in the last 3 months, tripling her 2020 earnings, and everything she's earned this year is more than her entire career combined. I mean, that's a testament to higher prize pools, but it's also a testament to her game. Like she's
yeah,
playing
she's
really
playing
well right
well.
now. She was super composed. Her like I was super impressed by her play on 18. That was incredible. Like she was so composed. Her drive was fantastic. I yeah, I was really impressed. As far as the other women, you know, I thought that the women played really well. Like you look at the scores and it was close all the way through, and I watched most of the women's coverage, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was really good coverage. I thought they covered it really well, and as Dan alluded to, it's not your typical finish for what we expect from the women. I'm scrolling pretty far down to find the people you typically think of, but Paige ended up getting 10th and Katrina got 13th. That's who we usually talk about. And the fact that Paige got 10th and beat Katrina um, when she shot 18 over one day, I'm not sure how that's possible.
Karina, where are you at?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it just shows how bad. I mean, that's all anyone was talking about was Paige's round. I mean, Dan, I know you watched most of it, saw a lot of it. What did you think? And for those of you who don't know, we're talking about round three. Um,
Yeah, she was in the
she's
lead by 5 or 6
something
strokes,
like
I
that.
think. And she basically it looked like she was gonna run away with it. And she came out round three and shot 18 over with I think two quadruple bogeys, triple. She birdied one hole, and that was just kind of the story of the round. And I'll be the first to say I enjoy seeing Paige dethroned and her struggle out on the course because she it looks like she does have some mental weaknesses. Um, and someone who's been dominant of the sport for so long, it's kind of good to see her be dethroned and have her struggle with that because I think once she figures that out, she's gonna dominate the field again.
Yeah.
Maybe not as dominant as she was, but she's gonna be in the driver's seat much more often. But it got so painful to watch. I mean, as a player of her caliber, you just can't be that bad. You can't be that bad ever. And I don't know if it was just lapse in judgment when she was out there, or she was getting upset because she didn't look super visibly upset. And maybe that's just good composure. I'm not sure, but looked like good composure, and then the decisions she'd make afterwards were
Right.
just very, very poor.
Right.
And it didn't look good. It didn't look right, and it was tough. It was tough to watch. It was probably tough to play. I couldn't imagine. I probably would have walked off the course. I
I
don't know.
I think I saw that it was their lowest rated round since like 2016 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, damn.
845 rated, third worst in the field that day. Um, I mean, there's not much else you can say about it. I was just shocked watching. I mean, obviously, Paige is known to have a couple holes that you're just like, what the heck are you doing? Like, what happened? But that was the whole round.
Oh,
And
yeah. Every hole.
I just, and it wasn't a situation where she's going into the last day, not in contention, doesn't really care. I mean, she was in the lead in this event going into it. Um, I, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you would have told me 2017, 18, 19 Paige would do this, I would not believe you. I would say it's not possible. Last year and this year, it's just like, don't get me wrong, I'm still shocked, but it's just like there's something different about Paige, and people have been questioning her desire, if she's really got her head focused. She's mentioned that she's not been super focused in the past, and I mean, it's just hard to understand what really could be going on that for that to happen. I mean, you're arguably the best player in the world, top player in the world, and you're shooting. I mean, that just doesn't seem like a fathomable round. So I don't know.
That's just like if Paul came out and shot a 950 rated round like that. That's just
Yeah,
can't do that.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, no. I mean, is there anything else from the women you wanted to go over?
Do want to give a shout out to Kona Panis. She got second place. And I know we talk about Katrina Allen if she could put the putter in the basket, but Kona Panis is the true. If you could put the putter in the basket, you'd be probably the best female in the world.
Right.
I think I checked final round, and I'd assume it's probably pretty on par with all the rest of her rounds, but she was like 45% from C1X,
Really?
which is horrid, 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 horrid. But it's a testament to how well she throws the disc, and
Right.
she's one of the best FPO throwers of the disc. So I hope to see her find a putt, fix her putt. I know she's been around the block with different putting styles, looking like a modern day Ulibarri on the putting green. But I hope,
You can't say modern day when he's still playing.
yay! But he at least has a conventional putting stroke
Hey,
now. Took a
Paul's
while to
like
get there.
Paul's like top 10 Circle 1X this year.
I know, but a few years ago, and he has a Matty O fling
Yeah,
Annie putt where he just airball
I
all the
think
time.
I think that's, Kona's in this space. I don't know, but I see it with a lot of people where it's you switch and you convince yourself it feels good for a week, and then the first day that it falls apart, you switch to something else. So you never actually get good enough at something. As a
Truth be
pro,
told, she's never gonna be like a 90% C1X
no, and she
putter,
doesn't
but
need to be.
you gotta be better than
Well, and
40%.
imagine how great she'd be if she was. I mean, there's some top men that aren't the best at putting, but they find a way. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. It it's one of those things. Putting seems to get the better of a lot of players, and that's not limited to just amateurs or pros. It's everybody. So, but hopefully, if she can figure something, maybe that's something in the off season. If she just focused on that, I mean, she'd be a force for sure. So, yeah. Unless you have something else, no, that's. I mean, I think overall is an amazing event for men and women. I loved watching it. This was the most coverage I've watched all year. I watched pretty much front to back all the coverage, and that includes the lack of coverage for a couple holes. Um, I'm sure. Again, I've already said this a couple of times, but for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you all do. The final round had some blackouts for the men. I believe hole 3 to 5 for the lead card, depending on how much you refreshed your page, and then somewhere between 17 and some people claim they didn't get to watch the playoff. Um, I don't know how that's possible. I don't know. I mean, so for me personally, I lost coverage. I didn't see 3 tee off, and I saw them finish 5. So I missed 3 and 4, and I got half of 5. And then I missed 17. That's all I missed. And then I came right back. I saw the replay of Paul's putt. They knew that it got blacked out, so they replayed it about 10 times. And then I saw all of 18, all of the playoff, all of everything. um, I love the disc golf community, but when people miss 2 holes early on in the day and there was 1,200 comments already on the page demanding refunds, class action lawsuits, demanding
Hmm.
free merch. It was $25. I'll let you give your take. I'll just give a short version of mine. It's $25 and you miss 2 of 72 holes of coverage, 4 days of coverage at that point. Potentially 3 or 4 holes. But I obviously I wasn't happy with missing it, but at the same time, people are just looking for a reason to complain. It feels like in my eyes, the coverage was great. I do think the coverage was really good. It seemed like they used different cameras than normal for Disc Golf Pro Tour. The panning, like they had some panning shots of players that was really cool. Like they were doing some really cool stuff. I thought the coverage was amazing, and I'm fine with missing a couple holes. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Like you said, I thought the coverage was great. They did a few things that were a little bit different. They, within the package, they offered um, one section where it was just the tee of one,
Mm-hmm.
the basket of the triple Mando hole 7, I think, which is the one that got aced a few times, and then 17, which I thought was
17
super.
T and green, I
And
believe.
and
Yep.
green, yeah. So I thought it was super cool, especially if you know someone that probably isn't
Mm-hmm.
going to make coverage. You could go watch them play a few holes, which I thought was super cool. Um, and yeah, there were the outages. Personally, for me, I missed them teeing off on hole 3, but I got them putting out, and then I missed their drives on 17. But I was there when Paul made the putt the first time, and I didn't have to see it for the replay. And then I didn't miss anything on 18. There was another cutout, but it
Yep.
was just after they all finished 18 and on the way to the playoff.
Yep.
And I saw a lot on Facebook and Twitter that people um, missed the whole playoff and they deserved a refund. I, you know, I don't, I don't know where people think that's the answer for a 4-day event to miss 2 holes and to get all your money back is even remotely reasonable. But it was kind of a, a knock to me when I looked at the comment section where when it was running smoothly, there was like 2 or 3 comments where people would make a comment about a player, something just kind of random. But as soon as it goes down, you have 1,500 people saying they need their money back. They're never renewing their subscription because there was an internet outage in
Right.
Milwaukee, which is where there's nothing they can do about that. And I'm not too knowledgeable on what it takes to have a stream like that or like even higher level streams like NFL games, I'm sure they must have better backups
Hmm.
where if something like that would happen, they have some kind of resort. I'm not sure how it works, but you have to understand where disc golf is right now for them to have an internet outage in Milwaukee, like Milwaukee wide, like like there's nothing they can do about that.
Hmm.
And to expect them to surrender all the revenue they just made, and like I don't know how much the Disc Golf Network gets from that, but I not as much as you think would be my guess, because
Hmm.
Innova seems to have quite a hold on things. So to demand a 20 fund, I think is just absurd and not what the response should be from a disc golf community,
Yeah,
especially.
I agree. And I think Disc Golf Network did a good job of very quickly getting um 17, 18 in the playoff hole. They had like they made instant post round coverage basically,
Mhm.
post produced. So they did that for the people that said they didn't get to see any of it. Um, yeah, I mean it's tough and it obviously sucks and I wish it wouldn't have happened, but at the same time, people kind of have to like be more like reasonable in my opinion. I like we said, it was a 4 day coverage and you missed two to somehow 4 holes, 4 or 5 holes. I don't know how some people did and some people didn't. If you're refreshing and like Xing out and coming
I
back, you
just
should have.
clicked the refresh button
Yeah,
like three
like
times. I
yeah,
don't know.
exactly. But
So
whatever. Um, I think that and Disc Golf Network made a post. The way they kind of worded it, it kind of seems like they were offering some sort of refund based on they were claiming that they were able to see who could and couldn't see it, which I think
hmm.
is interesting. And they said if you are someone that didn't get to see certain parts, reach out to us and we'll make it right, kind of thing. It's kind of what they said. What that means, I don't know. I hope people don't. I mean, if people, I mean,
It's gonna get abused. There's no way it
yeah,
doesn't.
but 4 holes out of 72 would be about $4. So you can have $4 back if you want. I know that's not exactly how it would be, but I just
It'd be way less than
yeah.
that. It'd be like $1. But
Right. Yeah, because it's way less than 10%. So yeah, it'd be
yeah,
like $1 or $2. But that's not the point. And I would have liked to see Innova make a statement about it. Just anything, just apologizing because it is an inconvenience. I'm not surprised that we didn't hear anything from them.
no.
Um, but at the end of the day, it was great coverage. It's gonna be something people kind of forget about. I think. The thing is the people that are complaining so hard about it probably don't have coverage or weren't gonna keep their coverage or what like I at the end of the day people are gonna pay for the disc golf if they want to watch it. If they don't, they already didn't want to watch live probably anyway. So to me it's not really an issue. And I really commend Disc Golf Network for what they've done this year and the last few years growing the sport the way they have. um yeah, no, I mean, I I don't want to go too much more into it. I think we've already talked too much about it, to be honest, because to me it wasn't even that big of a deal. But yeah. So unless there's anything else relevant, I think we're just gonna get into this weekend's event. Basically the final event of the year, the Tour Championship. The last year it's gonna be this way. We don't know the exact details of what it's gonna look like next year, but we do know that there's gonna be more of a playoff system. So getting into the men, we have um, we have 32 people in the playoff. And for those of you, Dan, do you want to explain how the playoff works to people?
Yeah, so for the finale, there's the 17 to 32 in terms of disc golf pro tour points. So those are the points you earned at the Elite Series and series event throughout the season. So you rack those up and you basically get seeded. So it's the top 32 players plus Anthony Barella, who was the 33rd player who steps up for Gavin Rathbun, who's not playing due to a shoulder injury. But so top 32 players, it's the 17th to 32 player ranking, and they go out and play the course day one. And the top four scores get to advance to the next round, which then get put with the 16 to 8 player field, played the next day. Top four move on, then you get and so on and so forth until you get to the finals. Um, So obviously the 16 to 8 get a 1 round bye. The 8 to 1 get a 2 round bye. So they just have to basically place in the top four once to make it to the finals. So
Yep. And
very unique system. I
yeah,
think it's pretty cool.
yeah, I like it
And all
too.
stroke play. So
Yep. And for the women, it's the same. It's just cut in half. So, top 5 through 16 play quarterfinals. That and top four move on to meet up with the top four women for 8 people, and that goes to a finals with just the four. So same format and same payout for men and women. The only difference, obviously, is if I'm looking at it correctly, it looks like yeah. So the only difference is obviously there's more men that everyone who's there guarantees some money. So
yeah,
obviously there's more money paid out to the men because there's more players. But as far as the top tiers, it's all
the
the same
winner.
pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um, I'll put up the bracket on the screen. We're not going to say every single person, but what we will say is we're going to go through like the first round. Dan, why don't you give me 2 guys that you think are going to come out of that first round?
They're playing Hornet's Nest,
Mm-hmm.
for those who don't know, which is a pretty wooded course. It's very demanding. Uh, One of my favorite courses to watch personally. And these guys are all like kind of wild card picks. They come out and do really well one day and then not so well the next day, so it's kind of hard to choose. But out of these four, 2 guys I think that are gonna do really well. You know, it's hard to say Big Germ right now with, his
Hornets Nest.
situation, but this is his home course. I'm Big Germ. Let's throw him in there. Big Germ. I think let's pray Emerson Keith comes back from the
We
disastrous
didn't talk
20
about
over.
that. Yeah.
We'll talk about it real quick. The disastrous 20 over par, going from he must have been top 20 probably at least
Yeah.
before the 20 over par and ended up 70th, something like that. So let's say he bounces back. I think this is a good course for him. Bradley Williams. So look for those guys, I think.
Okay. I was gonna say Jeremy. I won't, but I kind of just did. But I'll have 2 other ones. I think Ben Callaway
Mm.
is gonna come out. He's been playing really good golf this year. He's been up and coming. He's a name people, basically nobody knew at the beginning of this year, and he's done a really good job for himself. So I think he's gonna come out. And then I'm also gonna go with Colin Montgomery.
Colton.
Sorry, Colton Montgomery. Yeah, um, Colton Montgomery. I think that he had a couple. He was up. I don't remember how late it was in the event. It was pretty early. It might have been like second round, but he was like pushing USDGC. He seems like he kind of struggles to put a whole tournament together at times, but when he's hot, he's playing really well. He's a very good player, and I think this is a course that he'll do okay at. So those are my 2 picks for that. So then, obviously 4 come off, but we just gave a couple.
Gannon Burlove. I'm
No,
surprised.
yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
I think I think at events like this, there is something to be said for some experience,
Mm.
which doesn't make any sense that I'm picking 2 people that. I mean, Ben Callaway has virtually no experience other than playing on the tour this year, so that doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. Gannon's gonna have his time. He will, but I think next year Gannon's gonna have a really great season. But I just think there's some other people that probably have a better chance this week. So in the quarterfinals, some notable names. We have Nico Castro, Chris Dickerson, Ezra Aderhold, Joe Freeman, Drew Gibson, who we talked about earlier. I mean, all these guys, obviously now we're already getting into all the really great players. Andrew Marweed, Matt Oram, and Garrett Gerthy. Those are the guys who get the first buys, along with the top 4 from the round before. Who do you think is going to come out of that? Again, 4 people, but just pick a
Yeah.
few.
Uh, I think it's hard. I think Andrew Marweed's gonna do really well here. He's kind of just been playing really consistent. Great putter. Andrew Marweed. Um, Matty O is someone that could do really good. Chris Dickerson is a player who, one year went from the
Mm-hmm.
17 out of 32. He might have been the last seed and won by
Mm-hmm.
playing every single
Two
day.
years ago, I think.
So yeah, he's always someone to look at. So I'll just choose Andrew Marweed and Chris Dickerson.
Okay,
Those are my two choices.
nice. I am going to go with Drew Gibson. I'm going to take the hot hand. This
Mm,
isn't really a great course for him, but I'm going to go with the hot hand. He's playing really good right now. And I'm going to go with Matty O.
mm.
Um, he can carve it. He likes courses like this, and I think he's going to do really well. So then the semifinals. So these are the top 8 guys. Everybody knows who these people are: Ricky, Eagle, Calvin, Paul, Adam Hammis, Kyle Klein, Kevin Jones, and James Conrad. Um, for me, other than people we've already said, I don't. So this is a hot take. I don't know if it's that hot. Everybody in the finals is going to be from the people that got buys in the semifinals. Nobody from the earlier rounds are going to make it to the finals. Um, my finals are going to be pretty boring. It's going to be Ricky, Eagle. I'm going to skip Calvin.
No,
Yep. Ricky, Eagle, Paul, and Kyle
no,
Klein.
no,
That's who I
no,
have.
no, no, no,
Yep.
no. All right, here's who the finals are gonna be. Andrew Marweed, Calvin Heimberg, James Conrad, and
Stop.
And Kyle Klein.
You're not putting
Write it
Paul.
down.
Oh my
No, no,
gosh.
he won already.
He won
He's
already.
he's gonna show up and be like, man,
No, he's
roar! I
no.
already won. Yeah, he
No,
is.
he's
It
not.
doesn't matter who's gonna win the
Do you
event.
think Paul cares about the prize money at any of these events?
I mean, I'm sure it's nice, but I don't think that's his main. He has so much more money elsewhere. I mean, he's the first player. He just signed with a golf polo company.
I was
He
wondering,
signed.
did he sign with those guys? The stuff he's been
Yeah,
wearing.
yeah.
What's the
It's Marade something,
Macade or something?
McCade maybe something
Yeah.
like that, which
Their
is typically a golf
their
polo, and they seem to have some.
their stuff's expensive.
Yeah.
I didn't
Let's
realize he
say they.
signed. I didn't realize he signed with them.
Yeah.
Okay, good for him.
So and Celsius, which is a up and coming energy, he drives a McLaren, bro. He doesn't care.
Does he
This
even?
one is a little. This one's a little bit bigger, so it might matter, but in terms of generalization question, he probably doesn't care that much.
Okay. Well, your final four is terrible, but out of that final four, who are you gonna pick as the winner?
Andrew Marwood. We can't clown on him like that. I think he's a really solid
Listen,
player.
he's really good. He's
He's
really
really
good.
good. I hopefully he just whips out that cookie final round.
Bro,
Drops that.
if he's winning this whole thing, he's gonna have diabetes by the end of it if he's making all those putts. Cause he eats it after every made putt, doesn't he?
No, he just does it every once in a while. Like on a kind of like, some people, drop down and give him the bazooka. Drew gives him the archer. Andrew Marby just does it in style, eats the cookie. No, I think this will be
If I ate a cookie every time I made a putt, I would be like down 20 pounds. I gotta use a cookie all year, one cookie.
oh man. Andrew Marby or Kyle Klein. Those are
Okay.
my choices.
I'm going to go with the back to back. Not back to back on this event, but Paul's gonna win this.
No.
Hot hands. His putting's on point. He's
Starting
a
to sound like grip
baller.
locked at this point.
What's that?
Starting to sound like grip locked at this
Oh
point.
my gosh. Stop. Don't ever put that on me. All right, for the women. Quarterfinals. I have, like I said, I'll pull it up. I'm not gonna say everybody, but I can't believe Haley King. I guess it's top 5 since it's a smaller field. Haley King's gonna make it out of this for sure, and then I'm gonna go with Kona. Kona again.
Hmm. Yeah, so I have to go Haley King and be almost a sin not to.
Yeah.
But Heather Young, that's who I'm gonna pick.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
that's fair.
I think she's really solid. She was doing really well at USDGC and just kind of
I like
fell
Heather
off
Young's game
for
a
her, but
lot. I like
yeah.
Heather. I like watching Heather Young play. So then that already pops us into the semifinals. Paige, Katrina, Missy, and Sarah. Who do you see moving on to the finals?
Haley King,
Okay.
for sure. She won the event last year on a playoff with Paige.
Yep.
Um, Missy, wow, and then you kind of get It's too hard not to choose Paige. Um,
Wow.
and then wow, this is tough
Yeah, I think the
because
women's is wide open.
Sarah's so good. Katrina's really good if she can just come out and put a round together. It's tough. Yeah, I don't know. For sure, I'm gonna go Haley and Missy for sure.
Okay. I'll just give you my top four. Haley, Missy, Sarah Holcomb, and Katrina Allen. I'm leaving Paige out of this. Um,
Mm.
but
The fat
I
paycheck
mean,
she's
this could
missing
be
out on.
anybody. I honestly, like, I have no idea. I think
Yeah.
Missy, if there's a lock, I think it's easy to say Missy right now. But
Mm.
other than, and honestly, I feel like Haley King, but who
Yeah, I
knows?
Haley's more of a lock for me personally, but
But
I don't know.
yeah, this is gonna kind of be wide open, and then like
Yeah.
I have Missy. Yeah, I mean, I have Missy winning right now. She's just standing above everybody else pretty consistently right now. She's playing really well. Um,
Disagree. You think that everyone's just going back to back now?
two
Is
people
that
are.
well, yeah, that's everybody, Mike. I you know, Sarah Holcomb, give it
You,
to her.
you sound so confident.
Actually, I don't even. No, I don't. I have no clue.
Yeah.
I could roll a dice, and I think it'd be. I'd have an equal chance at picking everybody. Like this is just. They're all super solid. This is a course that, kind of tests all
Mm-hmm.
part of your
This is a
games.
great course.
Sarah has a phenomenal forehand in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to the people she's playing against.
True.
But she has almost no backhand, so it's kind of hard to use that as a super strong strength. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Be
It's
cool
gonna
to
be.
see Sarah Hokom win something.
It's it's gonna be exciting, and I almost. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is life changing money for both fields, but
Yeah,
I really like um, the women's side of things just because of how much bigger it is than a lot of their other events. I mean, for example, Paul this week I think got 20,000. I think
but I'm not
15
sure.
or 20,
Yeah, 15 to 20.
and Missy got 6, I think.
Mm.
So it is a pretty big gap. And granted, it theirs was just an A tier, so it's a little different. But seeing one of the women get $30,000, I mean that's keeping you on tour and then some for a while. So this is huge for them. It's huge for the men too. But this is one of my favorite events of the year. I love this time of year for disc golf. I hate that it ends so abruptly after this, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, it seems like we just get to the climax or like the high point of the season,
And then
and
it's just
see
gone.
you later.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think obviously, like I said, great time for disc golf. We're excited to watch. We'll be back next week to talk about how bad Dan's picks were, just like how bad his surprise pick was this week. But
Hold on. Can we let's not leave on this. Let's talk about those surprise picks last week. I chose Brody Smith to get a top 20.
mhm.
Far from I'm Brody, you missed the mark. We had a lot
After
of promise the first 6 holes. He was like five
even the
under. I was
first
like,
round was he looked in like he was
yeah, he had
25th, I think, and he
3 under or
wasn't happy with
something.
the round. Like
Yep.
watching that first round, he shot well, but you really felt like he should have shot better, and
Shot
so it
better.
looked really promising.
And just
And
downhill from there.
yeah.
And if you follow Trevor Staub on Twitter, he was doing this shot tracker. He tweet out every single shot, which uh, good for him. And some of the tweets made me laugh. He just started off with like "yikes," and it slowly became the trend as time went
There's
on.
more yikes as you went. Yeah.
Yeah. And who did you pick?
I think my surprise pick was um
I'll say
Kyle
something
Klein or
stupid.
something, right?
Yeah, right. No. Chose Garrett Gerthy to win the event, not just get top 20 to win. And guess who tied with Brody Smith? That is correct. Garrett Gerthy.
I'm gonna edit this out.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Dropping some other stuff on the channel soon, so stay tuned for that. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks, guys.